Morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar this morning with Lister Communications and Gamma. My name's Simon Garner from Listers, and Ed will be joining us and doing most of the work from Gamma. So hopefully you're in the right session. You're on the right webinar this morning. This will be a brief 25 to 30 minute session on are you getting the most out of your Horizon system. You can hopefully see me, hear me, and you'll see Ed and hear him shortly. We can't see you, can't hear you. Some of you may welcome that. During the session or at the end, if you want to ask any questions, you've got a Q&A box down the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You can also download some brochures that we've had ready for you. And you can also arrange a meeting with your account manager or one of us, or go directly to them, of course, after this session. This webinar is being recorded today, so you'll be able to follow your link that you've used to get here to go back and see the recording at your leisure. So why have we done this webinar? This webinar is getting the most out of your Horizon system. You've already invested in your Horizon system. What other things are there that you can use, which are either inclusive, free, included in your package, or some of them have a small additional charge to do the two things really that we're all interested in, getting or gaining new customers and retaining existing ones. So we'll be looking at some of these additional services on the Horizon system, looking at how they can help you improve your customer service to existing customers, but also how you can get your staff or your colleagues to work better, easier, and service your customers as well. So that's my bit, my brief first bit. I'm going to hand over to Ed now for the next section. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon, and thank you all for joining us here this morning. As Simon mentioned, the purpose of today's call is to talk around the Horizon phone system. Now, if I just move on ever so slightly, the Horizon phone system may look like this to a lot of you. It may be a phone on a desk sat in an office and it rings, you pick it up, and that may be what you need it to do at this moment in time for your business. However, as Simon has already said, the idea behind this webinar is to let you know that it can do so much more than that. And as we've already alluded to, not all of that is involving additional charges, additional cost. A lot of this can be turned on and sort of provide business benefits to your business directly from what's already been built in the back end of the system. It's just a case of enabling it. So a lot of you would have made that transition to the cloud previously. And just by a very, very basic schematic there, what we see on that diagram is basically how a cloud system typically tends to look from a deployment perspective. So you've got a few handsets sat on a desk that then will be hardwired through to a switch, and that switch will probably plug into your router, which is where you get your internet from. But the actual brains of the phone system resides in the cloud. And to really simplify that down, that's just a range of data centers across the UK where Gamma own and operate, and we look after those services and take them to the likes of Lister, who then sell them on to yourselves, the end users. So that provides a load of benefit. The fact that there's no sort of physical changes that need to happen at site for you to enable a lot of these. All the intelligence is done sort of network side and makes it really, really easy, really, really quick to deploy a lot of these capabilities, which can add significant value to your organization. So the reason why you may have moved to the cloud may have been along the lines of you heard about this thing that's happening in 2025 where the PSTN switch network is being switched off. And for those of you that are unaware of what the PSTN actually is, it is a sort of the legacy copper-based network that the UK has used for quite literally hundreds of years as the primary means of communication. However, for sort of reasons around the reliability of the technology, the bandwidth, the actual use case that we have on a day-to-day basis, Openreach, who operate this large network, have decided that we're going to move to an IP-based network. And as such, all communications, all the sort of physical lines and numbers and everything like that will all have to move to an IP-based, a cloud-based type of platform. So you may be aware of that, and you may have made a conscious decision to do that. You may have also wanted more elements of control in there. And the beauty of the cloud-based system is that there is an interface, should you so choose. And again, this is how you can manage it yourself, or Lister can do this on your behalf for you, that you will have far more control rather than comparing this to an on-premise phone system where potentially the way it's been configured requires someone with special skill set. The way with cloud-based systems where you've got these portals, they're all very intuitive and easy for you to access. The final reason might be that you may have made this decision based on money. It may have brought cost savings to you. Legacy traditional services can be quite cost ineffective, shall we say, quite expensive. And the way that the UK telecoms market used to work, you used to potentially get charged like for large, pretty much all your bundle, all your calls, etc. Whereas with the cloud-based systems, there typically tends to be bundling element to it as well. So there might have been a cost implication that sort of drove you to make this change. However, what we're trying to highlight today is that there is still a lot more you can get out of this platform. And the first thing I'd like to talk about here is performance statistics. So this is included for everyone in the platform. This is accessed via the admin interface. And the statistics you can see on the screen there is kind of a snapshot as to some of the data you could get out of here. Now, to sort of use a bit of a cliche, you don't know what you don't know. So for those of you where you don't have any information or any data as to how many calls you're receiving on a day-to-day basis, or when your busy times are. So if you look at that calls received per hour, it's a really good indication to say, actually, are there trends as to where we're busy and where we're not busy? And if you look at the data here, and I'm sure Simon won't mind me saying, this is actually Lister's data of their service desk. So you can see there's definitely trends between, I would say, sort of weekdays, maybe 2 and 3 o'clock, where there's a bit of a lull in activity into them. But otherwise, they're pretty good. And the all-important one, if you look at the bottom left-hand thing, they're doing very well at answering all those calls that their customers, are putting into them. So great job there, and I'm sure it will continue. But the idea behind all of this is that this is historical data. This isn't live, this isn't real-time information. And, this data can be great. It can be exported as a CSV as well if you'd like to sort of get more information. And, if you were to sort of use some of the cloud functionality, such as the fact that you can have multiple numbers assigned to your business, you could actually use this historical information to track maybe things like return on investment. If you ran an advertising campaign where you decided that you wanted to use 3 different medias, and you put one number on the radio, one number on the side of a bus, for example, or at a billboard, and then one number on television, you could actually go through and see which one of these you will be able to sort of get the most revenue out of from that perspective there as well. Looking across here, the next option is a sort of live real-time reporting suite. Now, this is a chargeable option, and there are various different flavors as to what you can get out of this platform, depending on what your needs are. So you can have things as basic as a real-time wallboard. So if you're a business where you rely on calls being answered quickly, or you would just like to get an idea as to, right, how many people are waiting in the queue at the moment, this is the platform where you can turn this on. And again, nothing has to be deployed on site. This is all done remotely, but you can start to see real time how many people are waiting in the queue, how long they've waited, and on average, how sort of your trends there. What picture are you building? My sincere apologies. I'm having an issue with my laptop charger, so I am just going to get one delivered here, so I don't run out of juice. There we go. That's very subtly done in the background. Thank you very much, sir. Because my laptop charger has just died. So before I lose my face, I will just do this, plug that in. My sincere apologies. And that hasn't fixed the problem, so maybe it's a problem with the plug. My sincere apologies. We'll continue going on, but it was just in the interest of trying to save it. But with the wallboarding itself, what we also have is the capability to look at things such as unreturned lost calls, which is a really, really valuable report to your business. So again, if there's an element of your business which needs to rely on an inbound sort of customer help desk, or if you sell anything over the phone, quite frankly, or you take orders over the phone, as you can see from that sort of graph there, what is the opportunity cost of not having answered that call? And what the report, which kind of is displayed on the screen there as well with the red and the green line, shows you is that this unreturned lost calls report can basically highlight if someone has called your business and they abandoned prior to speaking to an individual in your business. So you can start to capture those calls and essentially form a list of people that maybe need a call back at the end of the day. Or what you will also be able to do potentially, and the report's really clever in the fact that if you called in, say I called Simon at 9 o'clock, he didn't answer, I would appear on this list. However, if I called back in at 3 o'clock and I was answered and I spoke to him, I would then be removed from this list automatically. So it's a great way of making sure that you're capturing a full picture as to what's happening within your business, and also just making sure that you're not missing any of those opportunity costs that you could be having there. Simon will do a sort of a real life use case later on about a customer who uses a Kixi and the business benefits that it brings them. Twinning, Twins, a great film by Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, personal favorite of mine. However, it isn't that. What twinning is the capability, without the use of any additional costs or any applications, to get Horizon to call other devices. So what I mean by this is you might have the phone sat on your desk at the moment. However, you might want it to ring your mobile at the same time. And as you can see from the wording on the screen there, you can have up to 3 different locations where you can get a call to ring when it comes into your business. So a real life use case for you. I use this quite a lot personally. In my role at Gamma, I find myself in the car quite a lot. And I spend a lot of time driving between sort of the northwest of England up to Glasgow. And at some points of that journey, the actual mobile data signal isn't very great. So what I want to do is get that to come in as a mobile call rather than a data call. It provides a much better quality of call experience across the piece. And what it means for the individual that I'm speaking with is that they'll have a nice, consistent sort of communication with me. It also brings other benefits to you as well. If you were, rushing to leave the office, maybe to go to a customer appointment or pick the kids up from school, whatever it might be, and a call's coming in just as you're leaving, you don't have to answer that call and be stuck at your desk. You can actually have your twinning turned on, ring it on your mobile, and you would answer that as if it was a mobile call coming through to you. Take that call, you can jump in the car, connect to your hands-free, and you can continue about on your day. So a really good bit of capability there and some great functionality to add into the platform, and again, all included as standard. Another thing to mention here is auto attendant. And this one can be really, really powerful, regardless of the size of business that you are. There's significant data, especially from we work with some contact centers. From an inbound perspective, if people are calling through to you, the benefits that an auto attendant can bring to you are numerous, and we'll sort of talk through these as we go through the slide. But what it is, essentially, is just having different menu options. So when someone calls your business, they could get 1 for sales, 2 for support, 3 for financial, whatever the options are that you want to portray to them. Apologies, my laptop is doing this thing again. 1 second, sorry. Simon, you might have to talk through this while I'm fiddling around with the power.
I think you never do a live webinar. Anyway, I'll take over from Ed. So auto attendant, as Ed was saying, is that ability. You've probably heard it a number of times before, of pressing 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's just a means of being able to get that call through to the right person as quickly and as painlessly as possible. It's a free service on Horizon. I'm surprised how many people don't actually use it. But it's available as standard within Gamma Horizon. So the next piece here is CRM integration. So if you have a CRM that you use within your business, and it can be integrated within Horizon. Now, there's a few caveats there of it depends which CRM and what work can be or needs to be done. But if you have that CRM and there is an integration path into Horizon, you can have simple things like popping up on your screen. So the call can come in, up on your PC or laptop, or pop any customer details, could be a name of the customer, etc.
Sorry, just to tap on that. Oh, found some power now. My sincere apologies for that. The plug is actually working. But yeah, exactly, just to sort of talk more around CRM integration there as well. A really, really great sort of benefit to bring into your business. You will have probably invested in some form of CRM over the years, and sort of there's definitely data around the number of businesses that are doing that. It's really, really important that it sort of you can get the most out of both of those systems. So you may have, if you look at the data here, you know, across various different industries, you may have a platform that is absolutely crucial to how your business operates, and as such, you know, you want to link the two together so you're not having a siloed sort of experience between the two. So to Simon's point there, you know, the capabilities may differ depending on what the platform is, but you can do this type of sort of integration between this. So if it's something like you've got a CRM where someone calls you, when they call in, the screen record can pop, and you will be able to sort of tie that record into the wider database, so you don't have to go and do double entry within a couple of places. Or you could do click to dial. So if someone you're using a CRM and you want to go and find a customer's number, you found the customer's record, rather than dialing that manually through the phone on your desk, you will be able to click on that record and then pop it back out into sort of launch that call into the phone system. So really great capability there between the two integrations. Final thing to sort of talk about on here as well is Collaborate. So Collaborate is a brand name, but essentially what it is, it's a unified communications client. And what that means in sort of layman's terms is you might have a need to communicate both internally and externally across a variety of different channels, and those channels could be voice, they could be messaging. So what Collaborate will allow you to do internally is basically, you know, if Simon and I worked within the same business, we'd have the capability to sort of message each other in the background while the call was ongoing. Or we might be able to then escalate that to a video call if we needed to see each other's face, maybe do some screen sharing. But the benefits that it brings to any organization are sort of evident as this sort of pictured on the slide here as well. So it will allow you to have both a desktop client and a mobile client, so you're easily contactable, always available, regardless of what the nature of your job is. You know, you can make sure that you're providing a seamless experience across, or a consistent experience across both of those different channels there as well. It may also help you with streamlining IT. So some of you might be using Horizon as your phone system, and you might have a different platform for the unified communication side of things. And what you would want to do is basically make management of those as simple as possible, so you can bring them together within the Horizon platform, where you will then be able to sort of manage that through one interface, that portal that I mentioned at the start as well. Final thing as well, not final one, penultimate one, in terms of benefits that it brings to any organization is, you know, the workforce is quite a diverse place at the moment. There's different levels of organization and different levels of experience within there, and they like to communicate differently. I've said different about 3 times there, but moving on. And what I mean by that is that, you know, they might be individuals who prefer to speak to people and talk over the phone, whereas the younger generations might prefer to communicate internally just via messaging. But having the right technology that will allow you to have all of those different capabilities within one person, within one phone system, is really, really important. And lastly, business agility. You know, it's a flexible solution. If there are parts of your business that need this, they can turn it on there and then. Or if there are parts of your business that just want a phone on the desk, they can still operate and communicate in those manners as well. So having a system which allows all of these benefits to be brought through is really, really important, and it will allow you to sort of future-proof your business as, you know, the demographic of your employees and everything changes within there. We do have a very whizzy-bang video to show you now, so I will move on to that and we'll pop it through. There we go. So that video gives you a bit of an overview as to what the system can do and sort of put more meat on the bones of the points that I made earlier as well. Finally, I think, and we'll get Simon to get involved in here as well, but what I would like to highlight in this slide here is not looking at all the amazing logos that use it. It's more about, there are a lot of different businesses who use the exact same phone system as you do as well, and the way they use it is very, very different. So if you look at Nando's, for example, a household name, how they typically use it is they have one phone in the store, and they like the element of the fact that they can centrally control all these different locations across the UK from sort of essentially one platform, one portal. So it gives them a lot of benefits in terms of managing that estate, making changes, making sure that they can be reactive to any situations that might occur as well. Similar sort of use case for Prep, where they've got one or two in the thing. But if we start to look at maybe like Care UK or the likes of Thrifty, where they actually start to then build out teams, they have things like auto attendants that we referenced earlier, where they've got different menu options or different hunt groups, which is essentially assigning people into teams on the back of it, so they can start to, again, make sure that when their customers are calling them, they're getting through to the right departments, they're getting answered as quick as possible, and ultimately that business is providing the best experience for those customers when they call in. I'm now going to hand back over to Simon, who's going to talk through some of the use cases, I think specifically around Lister. But yeah, thank you all for listening. And again, once again, my sincere apologies for all the mess around with the power. Not sure what was happening over there, but apologies.
Thank you, Ed. Got some questions coming in. Just get to those in a second. Just want to add one more that we haven't fitted in really, which is call recording, which kind of really shows the strength of Horizon. Previously, if any of you've had call recording on a telephone system, it was quite involved, it was quite expensive, took engineering time, there was where were the calls stored, etc. And it just made it a bit more difficult. Just to sum up Horizon, most of these services are done from, if you remember one of the first slides I did, from the cloud. So if you wanted to add call recording to one person in your business, we can do it as a click of a button. It's all stored up in the cloud. You don't have to worry about storing it or hosting it. So most of those things are, because your system is based in the cloud, it's a simple turn on or off facility. And call recording is a good one because most people think of it as a negative. You're recording me, it's bad, you don't trust me, you don't like me. But it has huge advantages from simple points to use, as in, I've got one customer who operates 24/7. They can't, not all the management are there 24/7, but everything's recorded. They can go back and review the previous nights or the weekends calls, etc. It's also good for checking your own sanity. Individual can have access to their own call recordings, and then management or directors can have the access to everyone. So you can go back and check your own work, your own conversations with the customer. We've all done it. Did I say that? Didn't I say that? It's just a very useful tool. The other thing I just wanted to call up was about the call reporting and the KIXI, etc. It's the thing that a lot of people don't use or see, but it is extremely useful to either live look at that data, what's happening with calls coming into your business, or historically. So one example of one of my customers was they'd been open on Saturday mornings for ages. There was a big push, do they need to stay open on Saturdays? They said they weren't very busy on Saturdays, therefore why do we have to work 9 till 1 on Saturdays? Just looking through the call data showed they could have been busy on a Saturday morning because most of their customers were calling between 8 and 9. They didn't open till 9 o'clock. So just a simple change of that made it more profitable and better to open on a Saturday morning, and also better customer services. the call reporting as well. Another one of my customers. Lunch times, always an interesting one. Who's going for lunch? What's the cover for lunch, etc. As soon as we got call reporting, it was abundantly clear that lunchtime was a weak point. There were actually more calls coming in, more calls being dropped or lost, or people just putting the phone down. And is that losing a potential sale? Is that losing an existing customer who's going to get a bit annoyed that they can't get the service that they want? So most of these solutions are just a click of a button, can be added to your existing Horizon. Some are free or inclusive, some are chargeable. So got some questions in already. Are the CRM and Collaborate free? They're not. They're a small monthly charge per user. So it depends how many users you have. And on the CRM integration, it does depend heavily on what CRM you've got. So if you know the CRM, your Lister account manager will be able to check whether it's already integrated and what the functionality is. Just scrolling down for some more. CRM integration, yeah, it's a feature of Horizon. It is chargeable. It's not included in your standard license. Next question. Is there a way of transferring an incoming call to a mobile offsite? Yes, you can do that. So the twinning that Ed was talking about means every call will be coming to your mobile as well as your desk handset. But you can do a divert to it, whether someone's away, you're leaving on holiday, want to answer the calls on holiday, or if you're going out to do work or jobs, it can be moved or transferred or diverted, whichever terminology you want. So really what we're trying to say here is you've got Horizon, you've invested in it, you're paying your money, you want to get the most bang for your buck, if I can use that phrase. And these are just some of the additional services that we see that aren't always used, could be useful for you for your customer service levels, giving a better service to your customers, but also your staff. Can they work differently, better, quicker, etc.? More questions? How do you set up twinning? We can do that for you. So your list of customer, our engineers can set that up. All we need to know is obviously which landline number or which number within Horizon you want or extension you want twinned with what mobiles or other numbers. So if you let us have that information, we can set twinning up.
So just to note on that as well, if you do use the mobile application, there's a setting in there if you want to use it for a use case such as I mentioned, as traveling, or where you might not have great mobile data, you can do that from within the applications itself as well.
Yeah, so what Ed's saying there is we've talked about twinning your landline with your mobile in this case. There is also a mobile app that you can have the app on your mobile and take those calls. But it also means when you make an outgoing call, you're calling as if you are from your landline or extension number. So there's difference there. Twinning, you'll just be able to receive the calls. Obviously, if you ring back someone, you're coming from your mobile. If you've got the app, it's your landline on your mobile. Slight difference. Another question, Ed, you might be able to help me with. Can you find out the number of calls received per hunt group?
So you would need the Akixi side of things to do this, where you would looking for specific hunt groups. You can, with the standard reporting, look at site level, how many calls coming into site level or specific numbers. So you could potentially identify with that, but the easiest way of looking at it would definitely be through the Akixi side of the reporting.
Good. So remember, you can watch Ed looking for his power supply on the recording. Sorry, I had to get that in, Ed. This has been recorded, so if you want to watch again, there's the link to follow. We will also put it up on our website if you want anyone else to watch it or view it. And there's some brochures you can download, but any questions, any things that you want to go through that we haven't covered, your Lister account manager will be delighted to go through. Or if you're interested, as we were saying, about adding twinning, etc., we can do that as well. So thanks for your time today. Appreciate it's very valuable. Hope you found that useful, and hope the rain goes away and the thunderstorms, and you have a good rest of your Tuesday. Thank you. Take care.